So everybody loves it when they go ahead and try to do something and then their computer just suddenly reboots because surprise. Gotta love it. Anyway, that's enough complaining. Alright, so. Got all that good stuff. There's the chat. Suppose I should pay attention to it. No, I never do. Never pay attention to the chat because I'm a dumbass. But, let's go to the channel real quick so I can see what you guys see. Make sure everything's working right. Alright, looks like it. Yep. Do a chat check. Yep, it's picking up, so. Alrighty then. Get back to Ironmark. I was checking the viability of some players. Low fantasy, 10-point rule. Basically, nobody's got above 16. Oh, yeah, our goth girl elves. I thought it was funny at the time. But, you know how hard it is to have any AI program make elf girls. Because, remember when AI first came out, you could do all kinds of cool shit with it. I mean, you could make Chuck Norris fighting Raptor Jesus, and now you can barely do anything with it. Except for produce slop. I mean, this is slop, but it's not. Anyway. Good, thanks you for letting me know you can hear me, Sunji. So, did a little bit of work last night on the history, blah, blah, blah. Prehistory. I changed it a bit. I kind of wanted something. Everybody's done the falling moon, the great old civilization that collapsed because they overreached their magic. Rifts has Atlantis opened too many portals to too many worlds at the same time and caused a collapse, destroyed the magic. Actually was working towards something else that kind of popped into my head, which was kind of funny, which was the sugar rush. Sugar and Native Americans didn't go together well at all. But I thought, what if the dwarves, who live mostly underground, had issues with sugar? But nobody knew because, sugar was nothing. I mean, and so the gnomes come along, gnomes with their global shipping empire, and introduce, processed cane sugar to the world. And the dwarves, who lived off of roots, tubers, stuff you could get in cave systems, because LOL, cave cells, their brains and their physiology couldn't handle the sugar. And they couldn't understand why everybody was getting fat when they chowed down on their fifth honey bun. And it threw off their hammering. Forges, prayers with forgery is a big deal. It kept the temp. People who were praying to blacksmiths at the time, the best prayers produced the best metal, the best product. And it was all about the tempo. Hammer strikes, how long to beat on it before to quench it, etc., etc. Hugely mattered. And dwarves going, okay, I'm going to eat these 4 cupcakes and swill down this honey brew. And then, they got the jitters from sugar. And they go out there and they're praying their prayers too fast, their hammering's not steady. And it caused a collapse. See, we have it where the halflings are the purveyors of huge caravans. We're talking miles long. Now, in order to have this, they needed the ball bearings the size of a softball for their differential axle systems, which isn't that out of line. There's some differential axles as far back as chariots in Egypt and in the Colosseum. But anyway, getting ahead of myself. The but once the hammering started going, once the craftsmanship started going, it spread to the halflings. The halflings started having more and more wagon failures. When you're 200 miles from the nearest city, and the bearings all go out on one of the wheels, and no matter how many times you keep replacing these barrels, they're all shot. They're badly tempered because, you know, by the time they got around to tempering, they've got the sugar crash going on. Meaning they got the jitters again, they're low energy, they're feeling torpid. And this collapse spread out because of sugar. But of course, everybody's going to be blaming dark magic, evil gods, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't help that this is when the third wave happens, which is cat folk, rat folk, dog folk, the whole mouse girls, umas, the whole 9 yards. So these people show up, and of course they're warning of a great catastrophe coming. Well, then it happens. Now, I did a little bit of thinking, and the great catastrophe they were warning about was the twofold. Number one, it was the massive civilizations of the hobgoblins, goblins, and orcs. We got 3 types of goblins. You've got the lawful evil ones from first edition, your lawful evil ones from second edition, and your insane Pathfinder goblins. With orcs, you got lawful evil from first and second edition, and then the big green savages that everybody fell in love with because of Warcraft. Fuck, that game did so much damage. But lawful evil orcs, the pig orcs and the non-pig orcs, lawful evil, were a massive threat. Chaotic evil orcs never really get above warband. No, okay, so you got together 50,000 orcs. You know how long your 50,000 orcish horde that's going to sprint toward everybody is going to last against a disciplined Roman legion with 2 hours to dig in? You'll be lucky if you kill 100. And any Roman general worth his salt would be embarrassed by that. I can always tell if someone has actually studied any medieval tactics or anything. If they're like, 100,000 orcs would totally swarm under this city. No, it wouldn't. Orcs, to quote a movie that, I hate the ending of it, but to quote a movie, 28 Days Later, he's not going to bake bread, he's not going to grow crops, he's not going to build a house, he's not going to survive the winter. Orcs never get above savage and chaotic evil. A lot of people look at chaotic evil as, they just do bad stuff. No. Number one, you got chaos. Chaos, is chaos. Chaos is chaos. The chaotic alignment is 4th grade gym forever and ever and ever. And then you've got evil, and we're not talking the banal evil where he didn't tip the barista. We're talking I rape, murder, and kill because I enjoy it. Evil. Because I want to. Too many people have done the all outlooks are the same, man. No, they don't. They're not. And take your hippie ass back to Woodstock, loser. But gotta watch out for those flying hippies. Smug Alana was talking about flying hippies earlier today. But no, they really, really don't get it that a chaotic evil is not going to build a civilization. I mean, if you read the Mesobaranzan series, that's barely qualified. If it wasn't for Lolth stepping on the bigger families, they wouldn't have civilization at all. Because crafting metal takes discipline. Surviving anywhere but someplace where you can just pick food up off the ground requires discipline, time management, everything that chaos and evil don't do. Now, lawful evil do. Lawful evil do. Lawful evil be Rome under Caligula. So lawful evil orcs are a bigger threat than chaotic evil orcs. Same with lawful evil goblins. Bring back alignment and understand it, you moron. Anyway, so the third wave was warning about a catastrophe coming. Both the empires of the hobgoblins and the orcs, with the goblins off to the side with their empire, driving ahead of them the greenies, because now was their chance to put them down forever. Except for, I figured, in order to protect him, we had a disease break out in the hobgoblin areas. So their empires collapsed. Hobgoblin. We'll get to it when we get to the rest of the races, but it all collapsed. Where the campaign setting that we're building is taking place is a little different. It's the collapse is over, but it's only been about 100 to 200 years, depending on where you go. Uh, because the plague, and of course, the plague wrecked up the gnomes. And yeah, once you get plague out on the sea lanes, that's when shit's just screwed. The worst part is the gnomes knew about the humanoid empires. They didn't tell anybody. Uh, bad parts got to the gnomes. Bad parts destroyed the halfling caravans. Picture the sea caravans were miles long. There's cities in the interior of the continents that where they used to just take these caravans and do refurbishment and repair on them, that have where the carts were just abandoned, where the wagons were just abandoned. We're talking the old Roma ones, where you live in the wagon for your whole life. So you'll need the size of a semi-trailer because this is a fantasy world. Okay, I don't have to give you the tensile strength math on white sequoia uh, that's pressure treated by the dwarves to make it all make sense, because bring the there's too much. On one hand, you need more fantasy in your fantasy. On the other hand, a little bit of realism. All the realism was applied in the wrong places. But anyway, so we did the prehistory. Uh, did the prehistory. What happened was, I'll read it out. Originally, the gods were entrusted with reality as a blank slate and given no instructions. Thank you, Locke. But create those to worship you and praise your name. Unsure what to do, they left reality to journey to the realms beyond space and time, ruled by other great powers, to see what those beings knew and what advice they could give. While the gods were gone, learning wisdom from the great powers of other realities, wandering gods that, when cast from own realities, found what they believed to be an abandoned reality. These were the gods of the serpent folk, the dragons with their servants, the kobolds, elves, giants, cyclops, Yanti, and others lost to time and warfare. Which we've got a list of them. Where's our list for progenitor races? The snake people, that would be the lizard men and the Yanti, lizard men, Lamia, elves, dragons, and kobolds. And there was enough room for them all to spread out and very little war was made. Now, what I didn't put in here is while they were setting up, the humanoid gods, defeated and cast out, found it and they snuck in too. Eventually, the gods for whom the reality was crafted for returned with the races they had made at the advice of those great powers that they had taken counsel from. These were the gods of the halflings, the gnomes, the dwarves, and of course the humans. Nature's greatest idiot and killing machine. However, they had returned to discover the squatters were despoiling their great work. I got a thing for however. However, the god of the elves was convinced by the others to go forth and treat with the returning gods, and thus they did. The god of the elves convinced the gods to allow the newcomers to dwell in the vastness of the world. But it was a trick, and quickly those who had claimed the world as their own attacked the peaceful races. The peaceful races of the gnomes, halfling, and dwarves called out for relief. The god of the humans agreed and put in place a god of war of battle, gifting those powers to the goddess of the hunt and the wild. She's going to come in handy. The savage woodland warriors flocked to her banner. The human gods urged the dwarves to craft the black rock of flint into weapons, urged halflings and gnomes to farm to feed the armies. As this was happening, the elven gods came to the humans and agreed to aid the humans if the humans protected them from the other gods. Within 2 generations, the impossible had happened. The dragons, always few in number, found themselves fleeing as the humans assaulted them directly. That meant the endless number of the kobolds were lost as the kobolds scattered. Then the serpent folk were driven into the empty spaces, and their cities and temples were destroyed. It was here that human heroes managed to do the impossible. They killed the Yonti gods, uprooted the giants and the Cyclops, both of whom fell rapidly. The Lamia slithered away to holes. The Elven gods were rocked by the betrayal of their fellow gods, and the tumultuous divine beings split apart, taking those elves who supported them with them. Then came the afterwards. Okay, so going back to where we were, elves. I didn't do too much. These are sword elves. In the time when the adventures take place, sword elves love human cities. The textiles, the fashion, the markets, everything. Picture a horde of shrieking Lolita dressed, eternal teenagers swarming down on the market with unlimited checkbooks. I thought this one was funny because look at the bears are all smiling. It's a weird picture, but good enough. But the other thing I chose, for your big cities and your major ports and civilizations, we're gonna go with the 14 to the early 1800s for the mode of dress, the elaborate brocade, because industry. So, like we did last time, we have the lifespan. Let's see. Elves are very, very verbose. Sword elves, earthy and outgoing, spending time with lesser lived races, enjoying the cities and markets of the human nations. I misspelled that. Yes. Preferring to keep themselves in their hidden hives. Okay. One thing I don't remember if I mentioned or not. Okay. Elves are born with their eyes closed, kind of like a cat or a dog, for about 3 months. And nurseries are dim for about a year. Well, for about 2 years. Elven eyes are very sensitive. Okay. Now they start to scoot at a year old, call it 2 to 3. Walking takes longer because babies don't have kneecaps. They do, but it's cartilage. It's kind of funny. And they have to build its strength. Now, one thing is, and look right here, sexual maturity 100 to 115. Every single elf is a century worth of resources and effort by their community. Elves are very casualty adverse. Age of majority 125. 125 years. Before the elven matron is going to be thinking about having another kid, 50 years is going to go by. Dress themselves, use the toilet properly, feed themselves, make simple food dishes, do minor chores. 50 till she's not chasing it like we chase toddlers. Doesn't matter if they live 7 to 900 years. They're really not going to, fertile for between 85 and 400. So for about 315 years, you're going to what, 6 kids at the most? And that's if, right after this kid was self-sufficient, you had another. Which is why elven women have 4 children over lifetime. Let's see. Elves are very casualty adverse. Now they'll tell you, all kinds of stuff, but it boils down to numbers. We'll get into the more fancier stuff for the species later. Okay, so we have our ancient history. Let's go to the. Then I did a little bit of search on writing. What writing looked like. You can see how it developed. Pretty simple. But writing, you end up with icons, symbols. Cuneiform is pretty much what cuneiform, Chinese characters, independent branch, Western letters, alphabet branch, runes, rune work, late branch. But writing matters. When you have writing matters. Now, unlike most of them, we have that the kobolds created writing. And that partly because that's fucking hilarious. But the idea that the kobolds created writing to praise the dragons and everybody else stole it is funny. Because now we've got kobolds who were once masters of great empires and are still resentful 1,000 years later. Yes, they're twins. Our twin elves. Of course, you gotta have the witches. I mean, what are you doing if you don't have witches, right? Let's see, real quick. I mean, it's like you've got dwarven maidens, dwarven matrons, oops, walking around with their human servants at a crap. It's either halfling. No, they're halfling. That's halfling matrons. No beards, bare feet. You tell these. You can tell what tribe these elves are at a glance. It's kind of the fun stuff you can do with clothing. I've got a game that I've been running since I was forever, and one of the things is how people dress is a huge tell to people. So, you know, the first thing is, what are they wearing, or what kind of boots are they wearing? Because you can tell a lot about people from boots. So, anyway, we're going to get to history. So, the gods decided all working together because holy shit, look what we did. We broke the world. Nice job, dumbasses. And so this is the older history. And I found something out. AI is getting lazy on us. They will they will do the same pose for if you have 4 people. They will do the same pose for all 4 people because they're lazy. Because it's lazy. Anyway, but and then I thought that was kind of interesting. That's a laziness issue. But anyway, uploading pictures. Like you see, we got the mouse girls. For one thing, look at the way they're dressed. Plain, single color, white edging. Very meek and docile in their appearance. Then we got some merchants. Of course, this is not quite what I wanted, but hey, I have a better, gnomes. Gnomish shipping matrons. Cannons. I thought about I have cannons on the ship. Let's bring up cannons for a second. I thought about cannons for a second. Cannons would be about where the gun cannons and smoothbore pistols would be about where the guns ended. Magic involves a lot of fire, so you get the dragons strafing the walls of the city. Yeah, it's a witch. It's a hell of a witch, ain't she? Come on back up front. See, she's a witch. But ships are different. Ships, the cannon's not exposed. The ship is moving. It's got a good foot of wood protecting the cannon, and so cannons would be on ships Gnomish borders would have, you know, flintlock smoothbore pistols. Same with like a mage, pull that out of his pocket. But other than that, it didn't really go anywhere because, well, in the real world, ah, in the real world, gunpowder and shot put an end to plate. But this is a fantasy world with fantasy metallurgy, so no, it didn't. And plus, in the time somebody could fire and reload, which yes, I've looked and seen that there were expert people who could get off quite a few shots with a smooth bore. But magic still was over. Halflings again. I thought it'd be interesting to do, but here's mice girls again. Are they mice girls or rat girls? I think they're mice. I'll be able to tell by looking at them. Those are rat girls. Double the heads. You can actually tell by the heads. I see the difference. See the way the heads are designed and the coloration. Look at the stances. So when you're playing, when you describe, uh, rodent head, hands up by the face, nervously, chewing on her fingers, or hiding her face with a fan and scurrying from place to place. That's probably a mouse girl. Laughing with her bears is probably a rat folk. And it's fun to make. Here's our elves again with their bears. With again fashion. I couldn't really get images of Japanese Lolita fashion would be perfect for short elves. But as soon as you put in the word Lolita, the AI seizes up because it was done by illiterate idiots who don't get the whole thing. But again, gnomish women. The right dressing, changing it so everybody's not wearing mud and crap brown really does change your world. I mean, big time. It's one of the reasons why whenever I'm running a game, I'm huge on clothing. Which is weird, but no, you see, it's all the same kind of material. It's just how it's used. This was funny. Anytime I did the cats, their servants were always brown skinned, no matter what I tried. And yes, this is all aristocracy, our upper merchant, but still putting in non-human races that are your standard. I mean, let's face it. We've had enough exposure to the internet to know that a mage is going to try to make one of these cat girls, or a mouse girl, or a rat girl, because uh, spend 30 minutes on the internet and you'll understand why. But these are from the third wave. Oh, you know. And of course you got the Uma because why not? I thought it was great to have the Uma. Because hang on just a second. Yep, I'll be taking a break in a few minutes. My wife is gonna be laying down. But horse girls. Now we're gonna end up. We got something. We're gonna end up with something funny. And yes, I like the game. Pretty derby, foamy. But just look at what they're wearing is enough. You can see how resources are being used. Industry, no, jewelry, metallurgy, gem working, clothiers, textile, leather. I mean, those boots. Boots are those boots would be expensive now. Of course, they're gorgeous boots. Hey, baby love. But so well, I'm gonna take a 15-minute break, and then we will get on with history again. So everybody, stay chill. I'll be right back. There, now you can probably hear me. Anyway, we're back. So then we have after the war, after the precursor progenitor. Everything was destroyed and in ruins. The gods gathered again. They promised to work together. Nobody was sure what to do. The elves were new strangers. It was worried that their long lives and their witches, shamans, and druids allowed them to overwhelm the other races. However, the elves agreed to teach those who had magic flowing in their veins of the other races. In other words, elves gave everybody magic. Nice nod to traditionalism. The dwarves, having retreated in the fortresses in the mountains and hills, moved deeper into the mountains, carving deep to establish both fortresses and mines. Okay, real quick here. One thing you see in fiction regarding dwarven mines is that they have basically every kind of metal available within an area the size of, a couple city blocks. That's not how it works. With different metals that cluster together are the kind you think they are. Okay, tin is way separate from tin is way separate from copper, and all of it. And copper and iron can be found on the surface. So one of the reasons we went to iron, it was actually a lot easier to get out of the rocks than copper, and a lot more abundant. It wasn't easier to move. The copper you could do it with copper you could smelt with some straw, some dung, and some clay bricks and some time and some lung power. I actually made one of those for shits and giggles. It's not much. I mean, with an ingot the size of a silver dollar, but hey, you can still get it hot enough to burn the impurities out of it. If you're a DM researching some of these topics, it's going to lead you straight down a Wikipedia hole. But anyway, so now in this, we're going to have it where the dwarven clans each have a major metal that they squat on. Major mountain. The Cascades, Sierra Nevadas, Rockies, those are unique, but they're also, you have to understand, that's like a quarter of the United States. The Appalachians are mostly coal. There's some other stuff there, but nothing like the Rockies. Mostly coal. The Appalachians are kind of interesting because they were pushed up, and then the next one was pushed up on top of them, had the coal. You have caves in the Appalachian Mountains that predate life on Earth. Of course. But, of course, my dog needs out. Great. But, anyway, so the more successful dwarves found metal gems. Dwarven witches are very powerful. But sorry, I'm trying to make arrangements. And of course, something is rapidly beep beep. I got a bad cable. Anyway, the Halflings look at the great highways and roads built by the giants of the Cyclops. It started with simple travois and eventually ended up with full wagons and sledges the size of double-wide mobile homes or semi-trucks, semi-trailers. Animals that were created by the gods to pull the wagons. And they appealed to both the dwarves and the humans to maintain the roads. The gnomish god saw 3 frogs on a log and got an idea. As people lashed together logs to begin with, and eventually vast gnomish armadas ruled the seas and rivers. Mudfoot gnomes becoming masters of irrigation as well as crops such as rice. We're going to design a couple rice-like crops that need water like that. And rice is high density energy. I mean, to the point you can practically burn it. It's that high energy, which is impressive. It's very impressive. But so that's the history, and we got recent history. We'll probably do more on the history, but recent history, I didn't fill it in yet. All right, so what happened is the dwarves responsible for most of the mining, and metallurgy. Actually, not true. Mining and mining, human metallurgy. Secrets were traded. Halfling caravans ensured metals and ingredients needed for alloys made trips. Okay. So you had the gnomes locking up everything, and sorry, Senji dropped by. Let's see. Gnomes owned the waves. Now all of this, huge ships, reminiscent of Spanish galleons, ruled the waves, ruled with cannons and grape shot. Less catapults on the ships, more cannons. Now they had pretty much global shipping. So, thing is believe it or not, Rome had global shipping. Uh, the nobles enjoyed fine Chinese silk, and they had no idea what China even was, because traders, so the Silk Road, stuff like that. But when I don't understand why everybody gets all surprised. Oh, they found Chinese seeds uh, over here in Germany in 300 AD. Well, yeah, no shit. That's probably some Roman general, you know. But people are always people are always shocked because they view nations as floating out there in the ether with not touching anything and not interacting. It's a pain in the ass. Anyway, uh, the Beaker people and the Native Americans and the Mesoamericans and the South Americans and the Egyptians and the Asians trade. Trade was huge. Everybody wants to talk about how capitalism is a recent thing. Horse fucking shit. Coins date back forever. Uh, I mean, capitalism has been around since people got tired of uh, carrying 900 chickens to market. They'd go in and be like, hey, you pay me for my 900 chickens, I'll have them delivered, blah, blah, blah. Shipping and receiving followed. Okay, what, you think a prostitute took a chicken? But anyway, yeah, you just rolled up on some prostitute like, hey, baby, check out this pullet. Anyway, but they ran the great currents, both wind and ocean, and enabled trade across the world. Ta-da! Across Ironmark. That's what we're calling it. Ironmark. Anyway, they also ran huge irrigation heavy farms. Symbolic. No, was the pad? She missed it. I'm really sorry, man. That was just fine like a little bit ago. That's true. Yeah. No, thank you though. Okay, I'm gonna be streaming. All right, I will. Take it easy. All right, it's always nice when family visits. Anyway, so humans built vast cities, fortresses. Okay, in this setting, humans are nature's perfect idiotic killing machine. Spreading out to all climates, no matter what the hardship. Ah, human logging camps supply the gnomes and the halflings hunger for lumber. Okay, somewhere along this we get the green orcs. Somewhere in here the green orcs and crazy pathfinder green goblins start showing up. Uh, After a war, the human goddess, a battle, war, hunt, took the orcish one prisoner for a long period of time and forced him to father children upon her, leading to half orcs. Now, orcs are R selective. Uh, Everybody else is K selective. Orcs are R. Have as many kids as possible in the hopes that some live. Half orcs, on the other hand, bridge the gap. Unlike every place else where the half races, half elves and half orcs, are despised and unwanted and disliked, the half orcs are generals, supply sergeants. They are valued by the orcish communities. And of course, their strength is great for humans. So, let's see, half elves occurred because during harvest and planting fests, the elven goddess of hearth and home likes to dance a little too much with the human god of festivals, dance, and song. Okay, one thing I hate is the way by and large, a lot of campaign settings, the gods are basically they don't interact. It doesn't matter that worshippers are how they develop their power. The gods don't interact. One or the other, baby. But you also got to be a reason why the gods don't just snap their fingers. So we'll address that after a little bit. I need to clean my desk. Anyway, so we got half elves and half orcs now. Now everything was fine. Let's see, everything was fine, going along great. Some wars, everything. Half elves. Elves are the bridge between the elves and the shorter lived races. because they can handle both viewpoints. Now here's the thing, an elf in this setting, it'll take 3 damn years to decide on the color of the paint for his door frame. Of course, unlike a human, he's got to live with this decision for the next, 50 years. Or a human will figure it out over a weekend of comparing swatches. Maybe 30 days if he's in a hurry. Can you imagine trying to do a treaty with this guy? But half elves, on the other hand, can bridge that gap. But it also means that elves have a lot of memory overwrite. They can remember that they used to hang out with a guy named Greensleeves, a fellow elf, when they were kids, but for life of them, they cannot remember what he looks like. Which is why you have all these elven journals, diaries, and everything else, because they write their stuff down. Because otherwise they lose it. Which means that writing was a huge thing for them to steal from the kobolds. I mean, there's some elves that joke that, the war was worth it just to grab writing. But enter sugar. Not just any sugar, but refined sugar cane sugar. Okay, dwarves existed on a diet from caves, tubers, roots, mushrooms, animals. Jam, jelly, and sugar hit them like crack. Or cocaine. I mean, it threw off smithing. It threw off inspection. It threw off proper metallurgy. Dwarven products. Dwarven smiths became experts at hiding the flaws. Dwarven inspectors were sugared out. Dwarven parts started failing, but it couldn't be the dwarves. They and sweet sugar alcohol, not beer, not ale, whiskey, bourbon, vodka. Those are all sugar heavy. That's why a diabetic goes blind drinking. Or too dependable. Ships sank or became damaged. Caravan wagons broke down. Nobody could tell what was doing it. It looked like curses. Halflings pushing into the interiors found the beast folk who were moving toward the civilized lands. They brought them with them just in time for the collapse. So now the beast folk don't remember what they were running from. The collapse wasn't a single point of failure, but a cascade. The roads started not getting maintained. The bridges began showing wear. Magic got unstable due to basically mages to basically mages being coked out. Ah, magic again requires steady cadence. Control motions. Someone in a sugar high is jerky and uncoordinated. Boom. So everything collapses and the wars start. Uh, Goblins and orcs push in. Giants shove. Giants and the others come back for round 2. Enter nature's perfect idiot humans. Now, most of the human settlements the enemy was pushed back, but the damage was done. Now 200 years has passed, and the world has entered a new and dangerous phase. There, oh, we got recent history. Actually, that should have been history, but hey. Yeah, that definitely should have been. Now, the collapse, I'll expand on that later. Alright. So, what we've got. I'm picturing the interiors of like the interior of Siberia or America's Great Plains. Might as well be huge trackless wastes. In the 1800s, traveling in Russia by train, you'd go through Siberia and you'd see where they were burning the forest off because the lumber had no value. Now, value depended on something. Value equals cost of the item plus distance traveled times cost over distance. Plus extraction. Right. Value, cost, initial, distance, cost per mile, extraction cost. It's a very simple formula, which was why in Siberia that wood was worthless. Well, let's take gold for example. 1 gold piece, 1/10 of an ounce of gold. Okay. Now we'll say 150 miles from the city is a gold vein worth roughly 25, well, I think 125 pounds of gold. And I cannot remember suddenly how many be in a pound. 60. Okay. So yeah. Sounds like a lot, right? I mean, that's 2,000. That's 2,000 ounces. That's 20,000 gold pieces, right? All right. First of all, you gotta move the people out there to extract it. Okay. So you hire workers. We'll say you hire 10 workers. 1 gold piece a month. Takes 3 months. It'll take them 2 months. 1 month to reach the site. Mining takes, well, 6 months. So you got 70 470 gold pieces. Right? Okay. I'm also going to need equipment. Well, we'll say it's a very modest 500 gold, 100 gold pieces for equipment. Shovels, pickaxes, grinders. Okay. You're about to see why during a gold rush, the people who make the money are the ones that sell shovels. Equipment. Now, that looks great, right? We only spent 170 gold. Congratulations, right? That's not how this is gonna work. Now, you have a you build your caravan. Now you need one wagon for that. One wagon for gold. 150 miles. We're say that's 14 days. That's 28 round trip. 28 days of supplies. And you're looking at about 20 wagon. Looking about 10 wagon. Actually, thing is, 150 miles, you can probably do this. 125 pounds, you can probably do this with 4 horses. But that's not going to really do it. Okay, so 5 wagons of supplies. Wagons plus mules equals, now we'll go with 4 wagon supplies for nice round numbers. Okay? I'm going to show you how shit happens. Let me show you how sausage is made, baby. Okay? It's going to run you 20 gold piece each. And that's really cheap, so there's 100 gold pieces. Then you need guards. They're expensive. You want 10 per week. 10 guards. Let's see. 14 days up there, 14 days back. It's 4 weeks. So that's 40. Let's see. So that's 100. That's 400 gold pieces right there. Drivers. 2 gold piece per week. 4 weeks. 5 wagons. 2 drivers each. So you get 10, 40, 80 gold. Alright. So, here we go. And now, the moving it breaks down to, there's your investments. Now, the moving it costs approximately 2.5 gold pieces per mile. Pulling that just out of the blue. Okay? Actually, we'll just go with 2 because 2 gold pieces per mile. So we go back to our formula, right? Okay. There's a little bit more to it, but hey. Brought that price minus. But it's gold, okay? So, here we go. So our value is 20,000 minus cost. So 70, 170, 370, 770, 850 plus 250, 1,200. Wait, sorry. Let's redo that. Okay. 70 gold pieces. 100 gold pieces, 170. 270. 670. 750. So 750 is your cost. Okay. Plus distance, 125 times 2 Minus investment, that's all the stuff we did up there. Oh, plus their initial investment. Didn't need anything. Okay. So V equals 20,000 minus minus. I believe this gets more complicated. Minus 250, so minus 1,000. So hey, your value was 19,000. Pretty good, right? But what if it's further? What if it's even further? Okay. What if you see how this can quickly escalate until, it's basically worthless. Especially big bulk things. Now, the halflings enable big bulk to be carried. I mean, look at wheat. Half of the problem with food is not that it's expensive. The food itself isn't expensive. It's transportation, packaging, and of course, all kinds of other stuff. But it's mostly transportation, packaging, corporate. Food itself is fucking cheap. Trust me, I live in the Midwest. Food is cheap. Anyway, so here's your lesson in R value. uh, so that really changes. That actually should be why your settlements are where they are and how developed they are. Uh, the dude who did Sutter's Mill was fucking genius. He got an entire town around Sutter's Mill by mashing up a gold pocket watch and claiming he found it in the river. Helped seeding one of the gold rushes, which built infrastructure all the way to his mill. Talk about genius. Because before, his costs were enormous moving stuff to and from that mill. But once the infrastructure was built to support the gold hunters, he had law enforcement, he had everything he needed. Anyway. So I get a lot of gamers look at this picture and say, well, what's there for me to do? Well, this is just a picture of the Yumas, buddy. Of course, I've had groups that would move those boots. Find a shipment of those boots in a giant's cave and be like, we're rich. Anyway. So, we've pretty much... Now, more recent history. We'll call this more recent history. Now, we've got the humanoid. Alright. So the humanoid gods snuck in. They avoided the fight. And built empires. Lawful evil hobgoblins. Goblins and orcs. Chaotic evil, goblins, and orcs were already here, making it easy for the lawful evil ones. We will build empires. Let's see, the hobgoblins, they built theirs like Persia. It's pretty much a powerhouse there. The orcs built theirs like Rome. And the goblins, the Khanate. There you have three distinct everything. Clothing, food, everything. You ever gone to a Mongolian place where they cook the food on a big iron plate over a fire and chop it with machetes? Good food. But so they found the beast folk, which were the serpent folks. Last ditch attempt to counter humans, but they got wiped out before use. They enslaved and pushed the beast folk in front of them. Beast folk pushed the greenies ahead. Alright. Then the plague, a bloody tears hit. Couriers and messengers carried it everywhere. Shipping by the gnomes carried it. Distance was too far to carry it to demi-human civilization. And tears are hollowed out. These folk were found by the halflings who brought them in right before the Great Collapse. So you got 2 points that happened. Halflings were keeping the markets quiet all to themselves. Now nobody knows, nobody remembers. Here come the humanoids. Which means the satraps and the like, they're all controlling their own areas. And nobody's telling them any different. They can do what they want. Alright. We're going to add something. Mousefolk and Uma are female only. Nobody knows why. Well, the Uma, their males were used to pass messages, saw everything collapse, were told to go home, raced home to find their families dead from the plague or brought plague. Their god's dying act was to make the males carriers and drive them with burning hooves to every humanoid settlement as plague crows. And with human males, 10% chance of throwing an Uma. Now, move to human males. Sometimes the Uma side vanishes for 3 to 4 generations, and then pops up again with 1 or 2 before receding. Mouse folk take dick when they can get it. Always pop 2 to 4 children. 1 or 2 live to maturity. Hopefully the mother doesn't eat them. Anyway. Alright. So, we're doing this top down. Guess we can look at our checklist. Oops. We determine the race as demi-humans. We determine the gods. Alright, for the gods, I'm going to use AI later and just pop us some gods. Probably copy some stuff out of the old deities and demigods. We're going to have multiple gods. We're going to do the multiple gods. Uh, we're going to do the multiple gods. I thought the collapse. But we're going to do multiple gods per species. Okay, we're going to do multiple pantheons for everybody because it makes it more interesting. Uh, now, when you look at the elves, you have the ones that live in the city and the ones that live in their forests. The ones in the city have given up. Okay, elven brains are really dense, lots of folds and ridges, but still not good enough to remember everything photograph. Like we said, they lose their memories. They start to slip away, disappear into the fog. Think about how hard it is for you to remember what your father drove when you were 6. You even know? You remember? And elves get that. But for them, they live 600-700 years. That happens after 2 or 3 centuries if they don't constantly meet up with the people. That's why they do a lot of songs, a lot of this, that, and the other thing. But then you have these ones, the short elves. They have given it all up to live in a whirlwind of shopping and money making and experiences so that they can forget about yesterday. The short elves think that the tall elves are gloomy and hold on to the past too tightly. The tall elves feel the short elves are throwing away their heritage. Who's right? History will determine. More than likely, the ones that are going to win are the short elves. They've got the people that defend them. They've got the basis. They've got the ability to move in the human world. But a short elf only lives 300 years, maybe 400, because they literally burn their brain out. They go senile. I like this picture. Ugh. Ugh. Good old roll 20. But I like this picture. I mean, you can almost hear them saying, "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear." Notice they got bells on their tails. Jewelry, jewelry, jewelry. People love jewelry. Hello, who are you? Ah, yes, the rat folk nobility. On a shopping tree, buying fans and elegance. Now you can have this and have the elegance and everything else. This is nobility. Massive amounts of money moving. You're gonna want to look. If you're a DM, you need to look up the tulip craze. You absolutely need to. You need to look up pineapple. Uh, yeah, pineapple was a thing distinguishing swingers. I think it still is. But back in the day, people would show how wealthy they were by buying a pineapple and leaving it on their stoop to rot because they had the money to throw away on a pineapple. People are fucking retarded. A group of halfling matrons shopping. I did a lot of shopping pics. Ah, again, think about if the dwarfs start screwing up the metal and you're building ships like that. I also like the idea of, everything nowadays because of the 90s. I'm just playing the 80s here too, but because of profit seeking and absolute profit and mismanaged budgets, everything is so utilitarian now. They don't make beautiful things anymore. They don't make beautiful office buildings. They don't make beautiful anything. Instead of having a dock that's, sheathed with marble, they just, make it out of crap. And it really takes out something. Anyway, now we'll put our mage over here. Ah, that's a witch. All right, thinking about magic. Magic. All right. In the early ages, it was witchcraft, shamanism, and crude druidic. Sorcery showed up next. Some say from battling the dragon gods. Others say it was from killing the Yon tea gods. Others say the elves gave it to everyone, like an STD. Then wizardry. Elves tend toward druid and sorcery. Elders. Dwarves. Wizardry and divine. Halflings. Sorcery, druidic, divine, witchcraft. Gnomes. Witchcraft, sorcery. Any wizardry is on the islands. Humans. Yes, please. Uma. Witchcraft. Sorcery. Rat folk. Sorcery. Witchcraft. Cat folk. Sorcery. Witchcraft. Mouse scrolls. Wizardry. Druidism. Dog folk. Druidism. Sorcery. Alright. Alright. There we go. Now, magic divided by schools, blah, blah, blah. And then later, we'll go through and figure out who has a. And I think we should have that per region. And yes, I love this picture. But let's see here. Now is when we get to the fun part. Again, time switch. And we're still doing top down. So, give me one with a width of 300 and a height of 125. Hex. Scale. $50. Hex horizontal. Let's see here. So we're looking at. We want a couple. We want a couple continents. We want a couple big ones. Funny thing is, you used to be able to generate a world with civilization and then export it. And that was so cool because, boom. Okay. So, let's pull back because we're going to draw on this. When I was a kid, uh, got into D&D. I don't know where the fuck he got it, but my dad shows up and he's got these hex sheets of about 5 hexes per inch that were like 2 feet by 4 feet. And he tosses them, here, I thought you might like this. This day, I have no idea where he got them. It's a mystery to me. Anyway, not that it matters. World map dimensions ratio width by height 2 to 1. Huh. Now we could do it where we do it properly, where we do the map properly. I've got a thing for that somewhere, but where you can make yourself a little cut it out, make yourself a little world. 2 to 1, so I screwed it up. All right. So let's go. That's a lot. That's like 3,000. That's 4,500 easily hexes. It's a lot of hexes. But you know, huh. All right. You know what? I got a lot of tools. See if I can get some of them to work for us. Oh, World Grapher. Is that thing out of beta yet? What the fuck? Anyway, but I have World Grapher, which lets us make poof instant areas. Feeling a little lazy, so we might just do the world. I don't want to use it to create the borders and everything. We want to do that ourselves. Okay, with the halflings using the ancient roads that the precursor races drove in between their sections and in between their grand cities that were thrown down, we end up with interiors that weren't really explored. I mean, just enough for farms and stuff like that. It's funny, if you looked at the actual history and everything that happened just on, say, just Italy, you wouldn't believe it. But our next goal will be, of course, to our next goal will be to build the world. And once again, we're going to do that from the top down. Anyway, sorry. We can use stable diffusion and not stable diffusion, sorry. Use worldographer if I can find the damn key to it. And I really should have my shit together better, but I don't. Uh, but it's just the way it is, I guess. Sorry. Just a lot of people don't realize how much of the world is just ocean. But yeah. Inkwell. Because we want to make a nice want to make ourselves a nice world. Because that's how it rolls. I'm having an evening. It's just been a pain in the ass. But we're going to want to make the kingdoms fairly close together, fairly spread out, but at the same time avoiding the problems with Greyhawk where everything's been done and all the kingdoms could ignore what happens, no matter what the adventurers do. New world map. Collins. I don't care. Anyway, anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I'm doing really good tonight, aren't I? I'm really not on the ball tonight. Let's see what we get. But I'm gonna generate something where we can. Well, that's retarded looking. We tell it to generate a world, and it gives us absolute crap. Oh, wait. Might be able to deal with this one. No, no. I don't know, it's amazing how I had fractal worlds for I got fractal worlds for what's that called? Campaign Cartographer 2. And made me excellent worlds. I don't know what this one's problem is. But it just is what it is, right, guys? It doesn't really matter. I mean, for the most part, people aren't going to see the whole world. I mean, they're going to see part of it. So, but we're doing it top down. So hey, but anyway, we're coming up on the 2 hour mark. I'm having a night, so uh, it was good to see you all that showed up. Uh, got through a lot of stuff, so we'll work on getting through the rest of it later. Think next time I think I'll do a little bit of work maybe tomorrow offline on getting us a decent world. But let me have a good night.